Okay, so this is typically the part of the semester where we start to think about and make patterns. And typically how we do that is we will use rubber and we will carve into it using a series of knives and gouges to create stamps. Now, not everybody may have those materials available at home. So this week we're going to start off by exploring some options that use just paper and pencil using what's called a graphite transfer. So I'm going to show that real quick and then talk about some materials that you can use if you're still interested in exploring the stamp design. There will also be links below this video with some different options. So if you want to create a design, you will need a graphite pencil, a small piece of paper, this will be the one that you draw your design on, and then a larger sheet of paper to transfer it. I'm asking you to create a pattern that uses that design at least 4 times. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you 2 different approaches to the graphite transfer. Then I'm going to show you how to actually get it onto the paper to finish up your design. For this tutorial, I'm going to do something very simple just to save some time. So I'm just going to kind of do a squiggle doodle. So let's say this is the image that I want for my design, and maybe I'll mix it up and do some positive and negative space. So I'm just going to create an abstract geometric design. The important thing to know as I'm doing this is I'm pressing very hard. The graphite, which is a soft metal, is going to transfer. If you've ever run your finger over graphite, you've seen it smear. We are going to use that to our benefit. Typically, school pencils are HB, or a number 2 pencil. If you have softer pencils, anything that says something like 2B or 6B on them, you can use those. Those may work a little bit better, but basically your run-of-the-mill school or everyday yellow pencil will work well for this. So I've created my design. I've shaded it in. I've gone around. I've pressed very hard with the graphite. I've made it exactly like I want. And I'm going to transfer this. Now there are 2 ways you can transfer this. If you don't mind it being reversed, the first thing you can do is just flip it over, place it wherever you want on your paper. I would suggest cutting it down, leaving just a small border so you can have an idea of the shape. So we have our graphite. It's colored in completely. And what we're going to do is create a pattern. So I'm just going to make a row of them. What you're going to do is hold your paper down, or you can tape it down if you have tape. And then you're just going to shade and go over the back of this. And what this is doing is this is pressing that graphite from the other side into your paper, and it is transferring it. So when I peel this up, hopefully my design is there in light gray graphite. And it is. What you can do now is you can go back over it with pencil, or you can bring things like a Sharpie or a ballpoint pen into the mix to go over it. So if I want to create my pattern, I will repeat this process. And if you want, you can always include lines on the outside to line it up. I'm just going to repeat and try to come up with a pattern, work from left to right, top to bottom, something to keep it consistent. So as I do this, you will notice that it gets lighter and lighter. That is because the graphite is slowly wearing off. You can probably pull 4 out. So let me just try my 4th one, but they're going to get really light. One thing you may want to consider doing is what I'm going to do here for the next step and show you the opposite side is to reapply the graphite. So that's getting pretty light there. What you can do is flip it over and redraw. Just remember that if you have the graphite on the back, it's going to transfer it. And that's actually our second step. So the second way you can do this is you can draw your design, and if you want it to look exactly as it looks on the paper, you will shade the back, and then you will use that as your design. And anywhere where you press, will transfer. So I'm not going to fill this in, but I might do some squiggles in there. Again, have a system work from inside to outside. Another thing that I often suggest to do with something like this is use a colored pencil if you have one. You can see where you've gone over, or even using a ballpoint pen. Anything with a sharp point will help that transfer. So that'll help me go through. And the same thing, you can get a few times out of this. And anywhere you draw is going to transfer. So my little mistake there in the center is going to transfer too. So you go through and you continue to transfer it. Remember a pattern, so I'm working from outside to inside. And you will see that slowly getting lighter. So when you're done, you want to go back through with your pencil, with a pen, colored pencils, and finish off your pattern. So that is how to make a graphite transfer pattern using a piece of paper and a pencil. So good luck. Real quick before we end the video, as promised, if you are interested in creating a carved stamp design, you'll still look into doing the graphite transfer as explained in the video below, but you can do so using a few simple materials at home. One can be an old eraser. This is a good carving surface. The other thing you may want to use is an X-Acto blade if you have one, or a box cutter. Remember to ask your parents if you have these materials at home, and always be safe. Make sure to cut away from yourself and always watch fingers. We want to make sure you're safe. If you have an ink pad, that'll be super helpful, and you can use that to create your stamps. If not, acrylic paint, washable Crayola markers, or even other materials around the house can be used to create a print. So if you want to look into this method, watch the videos below or ask me a question. Good luck and happy patterning.